Good evening and welcome to California Today. I'm Daniel Hall, sitting in for Lang Jiang. Here's a preview of some of the stories we've got ready for you today. A private plane crash landed on a Southern California freeway. We'll have the details on how it happened and who survived. The driver involved in a fiery Los Angeles car crash last week has been charged. She's facing 6 murder counts and more. And whether or not supervised drug sites will be legalized in California is currently in the governor's hands. Nonetheless, one mother's been fighting against it. We'll hear why she won't give up. A small private plane crash-landed on a freeway in Southern California, erupting into flame. Amazingly, no one was injured. Here's what happened.
On Tuesday, drivers were surprised to see a small plane crash landing on the eastbound 91 freeway in the city of Corona in Riverside County. Corona Fire Department dashcam video shows firefighters extinguishing flames on a small aircraft. Its fuel caught fire during the landing. Authorities said the pilot was on his way back to the Corona Municipal Airport when the plane's engine failed. He had no option but an emergency landing. Even though the plane hit a truck as it landed on the freeway and erupted in flames upon impact, the 2 passengers inside the plane were uninjured. The occupants of the truck that was hit were also unharmed. Jackie Rios, NTD News, California.
A nurse accused of running a red light and causing a fiery crash at an intersection in Southern California has been charged with 6 counts of murder. Surveillance footage caught the moment of impact. 37-year-old Nicole Lorraine Linton is being charged with 6 counts of murder and 5 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter. She was the alleged driver of the vehicle responsible for the August 4th incident in Los Angeles' Windsor Hills that left 6 people and an unborn child dead, as well as 8 others injured. Linton, a traveling nurse from Houston, Texas, has been working in the intensive care unit at Kaiser Permanente in West Los Angeles Medical Center. She sustained only moderate injuries from the crash and was arrested and released to the California Highway Patrol over the weekend. Authorities estimated the vehicle was moving around 100 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone. The victims of the crash have been identified by the family as 23-year-old pregnant mother Ashray Ryan and her unborn son named Armani Lester. Ryan's 11-month-old son, Alonzo Quintero, and Ryan's boyfriend, 24-year-old Reynold Lester, died in the crash. District Attorney George Gascon said that Linton's arraignment has been postponed until October 26th. She is currently being held on a $9 million bail at the Century Regional Detention Center. Gascon will not be charging Linton for the death of the unborn child. He stated that if convicted, she will be facing 90 years to life in prison. In California, the future of a drug consumption site law is in the hands of the governor. If passed, it will allow the creation of supervised drug sites in several major cities. Some state senators are concerned and opponents are urging for a veto. NTD's David Lamb reports.
California may soon have supervised drug consumption sites in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Oakland. One mother has been campaigning against the legislation.
I'm not happy about that legislation at all. My first reaction is that it's just more enabling, and we're putting so much money into enabling the addicts that are on the streets, and not enough resources are going into rehabilitating these addicts.
California mother Jackie Berlin co-founded Mothers Against Drug Deaths to help with education and awareness of the drug epidemic hitting both the state and the nation.
I'm hoping that Governor Newsom vetoes SB 57.
Senate Bill 57, introduced by Senator Scott Wiener, would allow a space for people to use drugs under supervision, intended to prevent people from overdosing. It would also provide sterile needles to users. Senators and opponents are concerned it will increase drug addiction and, quote, have the real potential to do continued damage. On August 1st, all 9 Californian Republican senators signed a letter to Governor Gavin Newsom asking him for a, quote, swift veto of the law in what they refer to as legalizing, quote, drug dens. Earlier this year, a homeless center in San Francisco called the Tenderloin Center was intended to link people to drug recovery services. Critics said it was similar to a drug consumption site.
And it actually was just a place where people could congregate and do drugs as well as buy drugs. We didn't see it have any kind of success in lowering the amount of drug deaths that have been going on in San Francisco. I don't believe it would have that effect in Oakland, San Francisco, or LA. I don't believe it will lower drug deaths.
Her son, Corey, has been battling fentanyl addiction and lives on the streets of San Francisco. She worries the consumption sites would be a death sentence for her son and others. Senator Scott Wiener of San Francisco introduced the bill as an overdose prevention program, calling it, quote, necessary intervention to prevent overdoses. He said, in these desperate times, this bill provides California with the opportunity to lead by example and to equip itself with another tool that is scientifically proven to help prevent and decrease overdose deaths.
I would love to see the state and the city of San Francisco put more emphasis and more work into rehabilitation, actual rehabilitation, rather than maintenance, which is what I believe the city and state are doing right now. Addiction maintenance is what they're doing rather than rehabilitation.
The bill passed in August in a 21-11 vote, with 8 Democrats abstaining. It's now headed to Newsom's desk to either veto or sign it into law. Mothers Against Drug Deaths has an upcoming rally at City Hall on August 21st. David Lamb, Entity News, California.
The state of California owes the federal government billions of dollars in unemployment insurance. And according to a new report from the state's analyst office, businesses and taxpayers are going to shoulder that burden. California currently has an outstanding balance of $17 billion in unemployment insurance, or UI debt, that it owes back to the federal government. The deficit will result in an increased cost burden on California employers in the years to come. That's according to the Legislative Analyst's Office. They reported that if the state's UI trust fund remains insolvent, businesses will pay a higher rate in 2023. And the interest paid on these loans typically becomes the burden of the taxpayers. For every year, the federal UI payroll tax add-on will increase for California employers, swelling from $42 per employee in 2024 to $84 in 2026. Rob Motry, policy advocate for the California Chamber of Commerce, told the Center Square that the chamber and other business groups had urged the state to pay down a larger share of the debt this year. But in the final budget, only $1 billion of the debt will be paid down over 2 years. That comes with a nearly $100 billion budget surplus. Additionally, California has the largest outstanding debt of any state. Motry said that beyond 2024, quote, it's not guaranteed that any aid will be provided to help cover the tax increases or to help pay down the fund. Motry added that California's UI fund could remain insolvent for 6 to 8 years. A California county has one of the highest foreclosure rates in the nation based on new research. That's with prices above the national median and income below the national average.
California's North Central Lake County has one of the highest foreclosure rates in the nation so far in 2022. According to property data provider Atom Data Solutions, 106 homes in the county filed for foreclosure in the first half of the year. That is roughly 1 in every 300 homes being repossessed by the bank. It puts Lake County in the top 30 of the more than 1,700 counties reviewed. Compared to the same period last year, the number of foreclosures in Lake County is up more than 158%. The national foreclosure rate saw a similar curve at 153%, although still slightly lower than the same period in 2020. According to the 2020 U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey, the typical household income in Lake County is about $50,000 per year. That is nearly 25% lower than the typical American household. Those incomes are combined with a median home price of $230,000, which includes the Clear Lake metropolitan area, about $10,000 above the national median. To slow the worst inflation the county has seen in 40 years, the Federal Reserve has raised rates several times this year. This has resulted in higher mortgage rates and the U.S. housing market slowing down.
A California man pleaded guilty on Monday to conspiracy to solicit millions of dollars in contributions that were made to political action committees, or PACs. Robert Reyes Jr., along with several others, ran the Liberty Action Group PAC and Progressive Priorities PAC. The former supported former President Donald Trump and the latter, Hillary Clinton, during the 2016 election cycle. Reyes confessed that the two super PACs raised approximately $3.5 million, from which he pocketed $714,000. He faces a maximum of 20 years in prison. We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at all the great stories we've got ready for you when we come back. A county supervisor is proposing more support for combating illegal firearms. We'll have the details on what she wants to do to get more ghost guns off the streets. And as a major tennis champion announces her retirement, new players are taking up the torch. One young lady talks about how much she's been inspired by seeing her star's career. That and more on California Today. Authorities in one Northern California county said dozens of illegal guns were confiscated this year. Now they want to ramp up efforts to keep illegal guns off the streets by getting more resources.
On Tuesday, authorities in Santa Clara County announced a proposal asking for more resources in order to confiscate illegal guns.
Santa Clara County has one of the highest illegal gun confiscation records in the state of California. Only San Diego and Orange County have confiscated more illegal guns, and they are much larger counties.
The county reportedly confiscated 38 illegal guns in 2022. The proposal calls for additional resources to the district attorney's office and law enforcement agencies in Silicon Valley, including a county-wide gun violence task force to actively pursue illegal guns. Efforts would also go toward gun violence restraining orders, protective orders, and sentencing hearings.
There were nearly 1,500 deaths in our county due to firearms between 2001 and 2020. A study revealed that almost 550,000 guns were owned by Santa Clara County residents alone.
Authorities said they want to focus on current laws to remove guns from people who aren't allowed to have them. Under California law, a law enforcement agency, an immediate family member, or employer may seek a gun violence restraining order against someone they know. If the judge is convinced that the person would pose a threat to themselves or others, that person will be temporarily prohibited from having any firearms or ammunition.
We need to do better efforts to find those people who are manufacturing those illegal guns, for distributing illegal guns that are brought in from out of state. And if we can reduce the illegal guns in the hands of people who are doing shootings, we're going to do a lot better in reducing gun violence in our community.
The assistant county DA said gun confiscation can be made when someone makes threats to do violence in a general setting. It can eventually lead to a search warrant to find more weapons.
This referral will provide additional training. Gun laws change rapidly, and our officers need to keep up to date on what weapons are illegal to possess. The DA's office currently provides us with a valuable resource. It's called the Gun Violence Cheat Sheet, and an expansion of that program will only help.
Chavez plans to ask the other county board of supervisors on August 16th to provide more resources. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
Los Angeles Unified Superintendent is promising big change. During an address on schools opening for the fall semester, he listed goals for higher graduation and decreasing absenteeism. That's as the district is expected to shrink over the coming years.
On Monday, Los Angeles Unified School District Superintendent Alberto Carvalho delivered his opening of school address at the Microsoft Theater. He addressed issues of declining enrollment and difficult financial times on the horizon. Carvalho, who took over in February, said the impact of pandemic lockdowns and the change to virtual learning is, quote, no secret. According to Carvalho, during the 2020 to 2021 school year, there was a decline of 2.8% in enrollment. The district is expecting to see an increase in the decline of enrollment of over 3%. He cited immigration policies and an increase in unhoused families as reasons for students not being registered for schooling at all. Carvalho announced the school district's 2022 to 2026 plan. The plan includes increasing the graduation rate to 93%, increasing the annual 4-year new student enrollment to 16%, and decreasing absentee student enrollment by 91% or less. Another issue Carvalho mentioned was investing in the district staff. Discussions are
Up and down the state, California residents are struggling through extreme drought. In many areas, residents are not only encouraged to conserve water, but some are restricted on how much water they can tap into for outdoor use. And it's even more complicated for Southern California residents who live about 22 miles off the coast on Catalina Island. NTD's Bill Thomas reports.
For Catalina Island's roughly 4,000 full-time residents, most of whom work and live in the city of Avalon, fresh water is always a prime concern. The island is about a 1-hour ferry ride from Long Beach, and a gallon of water on Catalina Island can cost 6 times more than the price you'd pay in most of Los Angeles. Avalon resident Lori Snell told the LA Times that she recently spent $50 to do 3 large loads of laundry. She went on to say that while drought conditions are tough for everyone in California, the situation is more complicated on the island, not only for residents but for businesses and tourists as well. Snell added that to live and thrive on Catalina, you simply must have fresh water. To that end, the island obtains about 40% of its drinking water from a desalination plant which opened in Avalon in 2016. That plant, owned by Southern California Edison, produces 240,000 gallons of drinking water daily. The last significant California drought from about 6 years ago forced island dwellers into severe Stage 3 water restrictions. At that time, local restaurants used paper plates to avoid running dishwashers, and hotels sent their linens to the mainland for laundering to help conserve water. One business owner on the island is doing his part to conserve water by changing his hotel's bathtubs into showers and removing hot tubs from the property. Conservation is a way of life for Catalina residents, with each person using an average of 57 gallons of water per day. Californians on average use 83 gallons of water per day, according to a June New York Times report. Additionally, there are very few lawns which require water, and most homes have saltwater toilets that keep them from flushing fresh water down the drain. Key to the island's success is water conservation, a fully functioning desalination plant, and tourists doing all they can to limit their water use. Bill Thomas, NTD News, Los Angeles.
Serena Williams, the tennis star, announced she is retiring. Many are sad but feel inspired by her. Some feel motivated to be just like her, if not better.
Serena Williams said on Tuesday she was, quote, evolving away from tennis. She planned to retire from the sport she dominated with 23 Grand Slam titles following the U.S. Open tournament, which begins later this month. But her legacy serves to inspire others who strive to be like her. 20-year-old aspiring tennis player Hannah Moss says she identified Williams as her sports idol from a really young age.
So ever since I was 5 years old, I just looked up to her, and she's just been a really big inspiration for me. But her retiring is a very sad thing, but she's been in it for a long time. So I think it's about time she's, living her life now. But yeah, it's very sad.
She trains at James Anderson Memorial Park in Carson, California, where Serena and her sister Venus grew up and first started playing tennis. Moss admires the professional's acing qualities.
Well, her fight, for sure. Her determination. She just doesn't give up on anything. Even when a match is super hard, she's just still going through that whole entire match strong. So that's what I look at every time she plays. A lot of young people, especially my age, we're all just trying to be exactly like her. Or even better, maybe. You never know.
But it's not just the younger generation who have been inspired by Williams. David Jeffers, 66 from Carson, has also been touched by the athlete.
I honestly believe she will be remembered as the greatest of all time, even though she did not win 24 majors, just due to the fact of the way the game has evolved over the last 20 to 30 years.
Juan Mendez, 67 from Los Angeles, even had a personal connection with Williams.
Well, personally, I feel she had a great influence. At one time, I was a tennis instructor here with the kids, and Her dad brought her and her sister out here, Venus, and they contributed tennis shoes to my program for my kids. So I thought that was very respectful.
Mendez says he teaches tennis to his 3 granddaughters and uses Williams as a role model to inspire them.
Speaking of sports, we're going to take it to NTD's Thomas Christian for your sports roundup.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup. A trial begins Wednesday in Los Angeles in Vanessa Bryant's invasion of privacy lawsuit regarding photos of her late husband Kobe Bryant's fatal helicopter crash. The lawsuit, filed in a U.S. district court in September of 2020, seeks undisclosed damages and claims that members of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's and Fire Departments shared gruesome images of the crash in unofficial settings, including to patrons in a bar. Los Angeles County officials have argued that any of the severe and emotional mental injuries alleged against them were not caused by the county or the photos, but by the crash itself. Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 other people perished in the crash in Calabasas, California on January 26, 2020. Vanessa Bryant has also filed lawsuits against the helicopter charter company and the deceased pilot's estate. The county already agreed to pay a $2.5 million settlement to settle a similar case brought by families of others who died in the crash, according to ESPN. Kobe Bryant was 41 when he died. The Los Angeles Lakers great and 18-time All-Star won 5 NBA championships and was elected to the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2020. In the top of the 9th, the Giants scored 3 runs off Josh Hader to tie the score at 4-4. Nightmares of Joey Bart's walk-off grand slam off of Hader when he played for the Brewers before the All-Star break flashed into the minds of loyal Padres fans. Instead, Manny Machado answered with a 3-run walk-off homer off reliever Tyler Rogers to give host San Diego a win over San Francisco. Juan Soto hit a game-tying home run in the 4th, his first blast as a Padre and 22nd of the season. That ended a run of 26 scoreless innings for San Diego. The Padres recorded just their 2nd win since trading for Soto at the MLB trade deadline. However, this win could set the tone for a run now that he's settled into the lineup. Padres 7, Giants 4. Trey Turner drove in 3 runs and had a pair of doubles as Los Angeles extended its winning streak to a season-best 9 games with a victory over visiting Minnesota. Max Muncy hit a home run while Julio Urias won his 9th consecutive decision as the Dodgers improved to 31-5 since June 29th. Los Angeles also extended its winning streak to 9 consecutive games over the Twins going back to 2014. Dodgers 10, Twins 3. Shohei Ohtani showed no ill effects of a foot injury, ripping a home run while shutting out host Oakland from the mound over 6 innings in leading the Angels to a victory. The right-handed pitcher allowed 4 hits and 3 walks over his 6 innings, striking out 5. The Angels won for a 2nd straight time over Oakland on the road after dropping 2 of 3 to their California rival at home last week. Angels 5, A's 1. And that's all for California sports. Back to you.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcast on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm Daniel Hall, sitting in for Lang Jang. Have a wonderful evening.